All right, we got a real special episode today, a council conversations. We haven't done it in a while. We got a real special guest, actually two real special guests. But most importantly, I want to introduce you,
Right.
our mayoral candidate, Isiah McNair.
Want to speak to the camera?
I want you to, tell the people who you are.
What's going on, guys? My name is Isiah McNair. I'm a lifelong Trenton resident. I'm a homeowner here in the city. I'm an investor here in the city. I have a nonprofit here in the city. My entire family is from the city. I was born on Princeton Avenue and raised on Bootnot. I am a son of the city, and I have my brother here with me as well. He has a very similar story, Andre McNair. He's also a homeowner here in the city, investor here in the city. He is a firefighter here in the city, and he's also a mentor in the city as well. So you got the McNair brothers today.
Yeah, make some noise for them, man. All right, so we know where you was born. When were you born? What year?
I was born July 12th, 1988.
Okay.
July 12th, 1988. I'll be 38 years old in less than 2 months.
Okay, that boy old, huh?
Now, I'm officially an unk, I guess. Like, I was looking at like different categories. You know, they got all these different terms now. YG and Y, all these young. What is it?
YN.
YN.
YGs too.
Yeah.
So I mean, so the YNs, they had different age groups. So I want to say, I think it's 35 plus. You officially unk.
Yeah.
Like, wait a minute. What is going on there?
Make some noise for Hey, so what was it like growing up in Trenton?
Okay, so as I mentioned, I was originally born and taken home to Princeton Avenue. Anybody know anything about urban settings here in New Jersey in the 80s? Think about New Jack City, right? There was a lot going on, right? And my family wasn't exempt from that, right? I'll go deeper, and if you ask questions, I'll talk more about specifically what the struggles were in my family and in my community. However, let's just say I was able to experience every part of the city. So folks who have issues with food insecurity, housing, or not adequate housing, and just as a whole, just not feeling like I mattered or my family mattered here in this community. Right?
Okay.
There's certain groups who are represented based on social class, and they're treated differently, and certain groups who are looked at as if they don't matter based on the family they come from, or their job, or how much money they got in the bank.
Yeah. Can you identify any of those groups?
I can identify now, essentially all of them. So as I mentioned, if you all watch my media push that we have right now on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, on social media as a whole, you get an opportunity to have a glimpse into my life. We've been doing a series, moving around the community, and I've been telling stories about, who I am and showing you all where I came from, right? My childhood home, I was born, as I mentioned, I went home to Princeton Avenue. I was born in Trenton at Fuld. Went home to 720 Princeton Avenue. That house specifically is abandoned, and it's been abandoned now. I'm 37 for over 35 years.
That's crazy. That's
right?
sick, man.
And so how is it that we're in the capital city, right? Our annual budget for our city is about $280 million roughly. How is it in the city where you have a budget of $280 million that you have properties that have been abandoned for over 35 years? How? In a city that's 7 square miles, right? We're not farmland like people here. Like, we don't have acres and acres and acres of land. 7 square miles. You can drive the entire city of Trenton in 20 minutes.
Let's slow it down. All
right, let's back up.
Let's back all the way up. We want to know who you are, all right?
Yeah.
Family dynamics. What was it like? What was the household? What the household looked like
growing up?
Yes.
So I was born to my mother. Shout out to my mom, Nicole. She was 16 years old when she had me. I was the first child. I'm the oldest of 4.
Okay.
Was originally, like I said, I lived on Princeton Avenue. At 9 months, I moved with my father and his parents on Bootnot Street in West Trenton. That was more of a household I know that God wanted me to be in for that moment, because they were going to be able to do some things differently that my mother may not have been able to provide in that moment, being so young. So I was essentially my grandparents, my grandmother and grandfather, were like really the ones who my parents were involved, but they kind of they oversaw like what they were the ones who essentially guided my parents in terms of the needs, right? The basic needs of Corey and how he was going to be successful, right? So they made sure that, obviously, I went to school. They made sure I had my uniforms. They made sure that, my parents could look up to them and say, this is the right way we should raise him. If that makes sense.
What's some of the schools you went to coming up in Trenton?
Schools. So I went to Head Start. It's actually funny. How you doing? It's actually funny. The same place I had my announcement at, it's the Lighthouse Church, used to be El Bethel. I went to daycare in that same building. Okay. So imagine I went to daycare, Head Start, at, I want to say it may be, I forget the address, it's on Bellevue Avenue, the corner of Bellevue and Hermitage. I went to daycare there, and I came back over 30 some odd years later for my mayoral announcement in that same space. So after that, I went to Cadwallader Elementary School. Shout out to Miss Gloria Tunstall. She was my principal. After Cadwallader.
You say you went where?
Cadwallader Elementary. Were you there?
Nah, but I was a couple years ahead of you, and that was my principal too.
Miss Tunstall?
Yeah,
that's my girl. That's my girl. So her daughter and I are really good friends as well. So I went to Cadwallader, and I went there from K to 3. In 3rd grade, they redistrict and they moved to schools. So I wound up going to Sacred Heart on Broad Street. So we're actually on South Broad Street right now. I went to Sacred Heart from 4th grade up until 7th grade. Then I went to junior 3 for a few months. We had to get some things together. And then I came back in 8th grade, finished Sacred Heart in 8th grade, went to Granville in the 9th grade. And then Granville closed, right? And I went to, it's funny because my grandmother, people ask like, how did you go from going to Granville, going to Twilight? So I went to Daylight Twilight High School. I'm a graduate of Daylight Twilight High School. Now it's known as Capital City High School, right? So Granville was closing. Anybody who was around Trenton at that time, we had a lot going on, right? So 03, 04, 05. You was here, right? And you still here.
It was real.
It was a real time, right? And so the conversation was, people mentioned to my grandmother and my family, don't send them to Trenton High. Right, there's a lot going on with gangs. There's a lot going on with violence. It won't be the best place for him to go. Right, I'm just being real. That's what the conversation they had. So my grandmother was like, "It's a school on Bellevue, the Old Blessed Sacrament," not knowing this was an alternative high school for the ones who actually got kicked out of Trenton High to go there. So they didn't have any idea that, he ain't going to Trenton High. He going to the school with all of the ones who got kicked out of Trenton High. But with that being said, I went there for my God bless her. She meant well. For my like, wait a minute, what's going on?
Hey, yo, that's what happened to me. My mom, she's from Africa, so like she sent us to what she thought was like a private school,
right?
So she sent me to boarding school in like 6th grade. I'm like 11, 12 years old.
Was that over on Stuyvesant?
Man, that was in Kentucky and Appalachia. It was in the mountains. It was really like
that's a
redneck central in the mountains, and she thought like it was supposed to be good for us, and it was like kids who the state was sending them there because they was getting in trouble.
She meant the best. Shout out to mom. The mom was like, I'm sending you to boarding school. You're going to get the best education.
Ain't no room for error.
That's funny though. So you end up in Twilight.
I went to Twilight.
Meanwhile, what was your grades like before you went to Twilight?
So remember, I went to Granville in 9th grade. Right. I think we were in the same class.
No. I graduated. I'm way ahead of you.
You went to Granville.
Yeah.
You were in my class at Granville.
Nah, listen.
Yes, he was.
Nah.
Remember, we had the last period at Granville, we had like some kind of like debate class. You was in that class, brother.
It's possible then. Maybe.
Remember, I'm a police officer by trade. I have to in real time live moments, and then I have to document it later. So I don't have a bad.
All right, I believe you. I believe you. So
you were in Granville last year. They closed.
Yeah.
That was 03, right?
Yep. That was 03. Yeah, when they closed.
I was at Granville in 03. You was in my class. So you guys have done research. I done my research too.
All right, yeah, man. So shout out to Granville, man.
No, so what I'm saying is like they thought obviously this was best for us.
Yeah.
We went same experience to that school, and honestly, it really was. But it's funny because I was like 15 in a class, and my peer next to me may have been 40. I mean, but that gave me the experience I needed to go out and excel, because I find that in our communities, a lot of us aren't prepared, for life when we go out as adults. And that's a setback for us because sometimes our families, there's deficits, right? When it comes to training. And I'm not saying that, just because you from Trenton or you from the inner city that you're not civilized. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that there's deficits. And I do believe that God in my life, in every area there was a deficit because there were plenty. Yeah. God sent someone to fill that void. Okay. And that's why I am where I am today. So I think going to Twilight, and once again, my grandmother sent me there because she thought it was going to be calmer and it was going to be a better setting. And honestly, it was. Because folks who were there knew this was their last chance. If they got kicked out of daylight Twilight, it was over, right? And so I had mature adults, or guys in my age group who essentially had to get it right or not get a high school diploma. So, I went there for my 10th grade year, for my 11th grade year, and I finished would have been my 11th grade year. And I went on to Mercer County Community College.
Okay, and then you went from Mercer County Community College and you went on to where?
So I was at Mercer County, just there, just signing up for classes,
like
not really knowing what was going on, Shout out to Mercer County Community College. Definitely, it prepared me, I would say, for almost an associate's degree. But at one point, I'm like, wait, what's going on, right? And so one of my cousins, Camilla, we were working together in a group home. As I mentioned, like I worked in a group home when I turned 18. It wasn't I was going to be an intern at Bristol Myers Squibb with my father, who's an attorney or a CEO. Like I went to work in a group home, helping individuals who had developmental disabilities get dressed in the morning, taking them on trips, right, making sure they strapped down in the group home van. Like I really know what it's like to work, right, and not just work mentally, but actually use my hands and actually help people. But also, these are the careers that you look at your CNAs, right? Yeah. People don't even look at CNAs as nurses. Meanwhile, shout out to the nurses, but CNAs really doing that hard work, right? They're lifting, they're changing, people's like the pens, right? They're changing bed sheets, they're washing folks up. They really doing the work. So starting off at 18, I was
doing
body sores. Galls, body sores. Like they really got a tough job. So yeah, like you're like.
I worked at housekeeping at Capital Health.
Yeah.
I see everything.
You see everything.
The way the patients treat people sometimes.
And
too,
those people don't get treated the best.
So
imagine you got to go in and change somebody's diaper, right? Something that will be humiliating for some people,
right? Yeah.
And then after you get done, they don't say thank you, or after you get done, they say get out of here, or they don't even speak to you at all. Like imagine, or maybe family members may come in and treat you as if you're nothing.
Right.
So I think that's very. I talk about lived experience. That's very important as well. Like you got to know what it's like to be. My mother took me to an interview. So I mentioned we'll go. Initially, my interest was media, right? So I interned at the Maury Show in New York and production studios and all that good stuff. And then I kind of made my way back to Trenton. And I'm here, obviously running for mayor. But my mother said something to me. I was going to be interviewed for an internship at Beasley Broadcasting in Philadelphia, right? So at the time, I think it was 96.5. And my mom said before I went in at 17 years old, she said, make sure you tell them that you don't mind taking out the trash. That will allow them to see like that fight you have in you, like that grit that you have in you, to show them that there's no job here that's demeaning to me that I can't do. And so she shared that. And another thing she shared as we were driving over, I remember driving to City Line Avenue in Philadelphia, and she said that everybody matters. God knows every hair on your head. So I don't care if you're on the corner of Stuyvesant and Hoffman, I don't care if you're on Lamberton Street, I don't care if you're in City Hall, God still knows every hair on your head. So everybody, we should treat them as if they matter and as if they're a whole person, if that makes sense. Yeah. So, yeah.
All right, let's go back. We're going to go through the history, your background. We're going to speed through this real quick, all right? You went on to college, right?
Yeah. He's like, get back to the school.
What college you went to?
So I transferred from Mercer County Community College. I was like, look, I'm just here, just signing up for classes. I went to NJCU, New Jersey City University. They've actually, unfortunately, closed now, and they're known as King University, the Jersey City campus. Okay. So, yeah, they're no longer...
They merged with King?
They merged. Yeah. I went to NJCU, and I was there for about 3 years. Got my bachelor's degree. While I was there, I interned. My interest was to be like this media personality. So I interned in television.
Who was your inspirations for that?
So, and this may sound like cliche, but... many times in my life, in many different areas, I always felt like I was on an island, if that makes sense. Like God always made sure that all of my needs were met, but I felt like there were certain people, like I didn't have anybody to really lean on in terms of like identifying with certain people. And so at times I took that as like a sign for like, I could be upset about that. Like God, like where's my mentor, right? And I remember God speaking to me and saying that when you don't see the example, you become it. So at times, and now I know this is truly it, I'm the example for people. Okay. So people who I couldn't relate to, or people who I was looking for, everybody said, oh, that's my mentor. Like, I'm like, where my mentor at?
Be a quote.
Right?
That has to be, I love that.
You want it. Like everybody, because you think that's validation.
Yeah.
But God is like, wait a minute. Nah, like you looking for a mentor and you are the mentor.
Yeah.
And so when I think about media and television, I just knew I enjoyed talking on camera and being around
that
people.
You wanted to be a news reporter?
That
you do
you
real
do.
good.
Yeah, listen, I mean, it's just something.
You're very articulate.
I mean, it's just something that I've
And a very
always
cute.
had in me. Thank you, I appreciate you. It's something I always had in me, and I've always enjoyed being on camera. And obviously now this is the perfect timing for that because I'm campaigning. I'm moving around the community. I got to be able to speak on camera. Folks got to be able to hear me in real time so we can move forward.
When they told me that there was a candidate coming, I was hoping it was him.
Really?
I was thinking about him. I was like, I was hoping it was him. Because when I met him at the Thunder games, he was so nice. Like, he didn't know me from the campaign, and he took time out to have a conversation with me, and he was so sweet. So he just stuck with me.
Too. He shoveled.
I never met him before.
Listen, say, look, he's choosing violence.
Yeah, right.
God bless him.
Yeah.
But we showing up for real.
All right.
This is not
Wait, is he running again?
Yeah.
I'm not really following. I'm not
When that guy
following the
said
whole
Breakfast
thing.
Club, I hope not.
Yes, he's going for 12 years.
I hope so.
Kodak Black.
Kodak Black. I hope so. Yeah, I hope not. All right, next question. My bad. A little water.
All right, I was gonna ask you. Well, there's no point in asking that. I was gonna ask you what's some life lessons you learned from what's some lessons you learned in life that shaped who you are today. But I don't even want to ask you that. I can.
Nah.
We don't got enough time.
I know. You can tell I'm a talker, right? Okay. Wait. So can Ms. Dallas ask me a question?
Yeah, absolutely.
He remember my name?
Off the top. Right? That's what you
done
want.
our research. I'm a detective by trade now, so I be like
Ask him
remembering
off the
things.
top. That's what you want, right? Or you want him to ask?
Something
Boom.
you haven't heard.
I was going to ask.
Yeah.
I was going to ask what made you want to run for mayor.
Yeah.
You kind of.
That's fair.
That's perfect.
Oh, okay. Yeah, what made you?
So, so as I mentioned before you came in, I am a police officer. So I was actually working in patrol less than 2 years, and I got a call from my then director, Sheila Coley, and she was like, how would you like to be on the mayor's detail? And I'm like, mayor's detail? Like, you got to have 20 years on the job to go there, but okay, right? And so a little background, let's just say I'm not very religious, but I'm very spiritual. And my pastor, I believe in prophetic word, and I don't want to take you all to church right now, but I believe in prophetic word, and my pastor had prophesied that I was going to be working with the current mayor in some capacity. Let's just say that, right? But when the police director called me, I was like, wait, I'm going to the detail? I have an option? And I went to the detail. To fast forward, because I take forever sometimes, but to fast forward, I was there for 5 full years. So I protected the current mayor on his executive protection detail. So, you have like federal level, like you have, your president and you have Secret Service. I was like the Secret Service of Trenton, right? So I say that as in one detective walking around with the current mayor. It wasn't a whole lot, that people were really looking for him for, but, or expecting him to do. But, they recruited me to come over there.
And that just inspired you to.
Yeah. So, I'm sorry. Yeah. So I got there. 5 full years of being there gave me access, right, that people you traditionally have. Mm-hmm. And I saw decisions that was being made there.
Behind the scenes, right?
I got an opportunity to see exactly who the cabinet members were, right? I got a chance to see priority, and I'm like, wait a minute, like, yeah, this is not, our community deserves better, right? We can't be mediocre. Like, we got to show up for real, because I know as a young man who was born and raised in Trenton, right, whose family has experienced every level of struggle here in this city, that a lot of us don't get second chances. I have personally seen someone take their last breath in front of me. That changes you forever. And we'll talk about that in a minute as well, like that experience I had. But, like we can't have somebody just sitting here asleep at the wheel. You got to show up. So as I'm going to be respectful, I ain't going to use any profanity on here, but it's when you're talking about a pop, you got to either do something or get up. So when you're sitting down and you not really being productive, thank you for your service. It's time for you to go. Let somebody who actually wants to show up for the community, let them do it.
So that brings me to my next question, right?
Yeah.
So do you feel that there has been any progress made in Trenton? And
like
do you
that.
feel
You're
like
fair. I like that.
Do you feel like it's a positive progress,
Yeah.
negative progress,
so
or
you're
in the
fair,
middle?
and I'm going to be fair as well, like I always am, right?
Yeah.
And so I like to educate. I don't just talk about just me. I educate folks, and I have to be fair in terms of what it looks like here in Trenton, how decisions are made. So we have what's called a strong mayor here in Trenton. Certain towns have a weak mayor and a strong council. So we have essentially a weak council, strong mayor. And the council basically is a check and balance of the administration. So the mayor could have all these great ideas, but essentially, unless it's like an executive order, the mayor has to propose this to council, right? And our structure, specifically in Trenton, we have 7 council members. We have one for each ward. So you have your North Ward, your South Ward, your East Ward, and your West Ward. And then you have 3 at-large members who represent the entire city, right? So you essentially have to go over and you have to get a majority of the votes. So the mayor says, just for an example, I want to tear down the 439 where we are right now, South Broad Street, and I want to build the new city hall here, right? He has to essentially, propose that to council, and you have to get 4 out of 7 votes, so the majority, in order to say, we should use this extra money we have left over to build a new city hall at 439 South Broad Street. Essentially, that's how it works. Yeah. So I want to be fair that some of the decisions, or some of the choices the mayor may have made or have wanted to do for the city, based on who the council members are, that may be put on hold or straight out denied. So I think there has been some progress. But I think that our specific, our current administration is reactive. And why do I say that? I look at, a video that I recorded, my media team put out a few weeks ago, right, about the litter, about the trash, right, on Ewing Street. Where's Ewing? Ewing is the area where unhoused people usually are, right? And we can talk about that as well. However, the reality was it wasn't Photoshop. The reality was it wasn't AI. We went over there and it was trash blowing everywhere, right? And so here we are, a decade into this administration, respectfully, I think. We a decade in, litter everywhere. I show up, I record a video, and now we're having a citywide cleanup. They're cleaning the alleyways. They're cleaning the fronts of homes. They're telling you, throw all your trash away. They go into your basements and clean it up, right? And no shade towards the people who are boots on the ground doing this work. I'm never talking about the laborers, because they're the ones that wake up at 4 a.m. and get off at 4 p.m., right? And go home and do it all over the next day. I'm talking about leadership who recognizes that, oh, wait, they exposed what we got going on. We got to act like we're doing something. Right. So right now, especially during this time, you'll see a lot of progress, or what looks like progress. My only question is, this should have been happening the whole time. Right, because I just saw a post that went viral on Facebook. Somebody was complaining. They said Cowwater Park get all the attention as far as cleanup, and the surrounding parks, they just leave the trash there. Like if people have parties, and they'll leave the trash. Leave me here, right? Talk about the inner part of the city. There's a park on the corner of Oakland and Hoffman. Sits right behind the 2 stores is right there. The entire housing projects, Roger Gardens or whatever you want to call it, you got Abbott, you got Josephson, but Roger Gardens as we know it, the front line, all those kids had no park. It's been a decade. So you could have went from being 1 year old to now being nearly 10 years old and never being able to say I went to the park across the street from my housing projects. Now, it's election time.
You got to play in them by the dumpsters in the back parking lot.
Yeah. Right.
Mattress.
Yeah. But now, oh no, we're gonna shift our attention, and now we're gonna cut down some trees, and now we're gonna act like we're revitalizing this park. When truth be told, that wasn't one of the parks that got revitalized. Why is it that an entire housing projects, right? Anybody, y'all know, you from Trenton, you know where Rogers Garden, you know Coolidge, you know Mellon, right? You know Hoffman, you know Eisenhower, you know that entire community.
Yeah.
Why is it the kids can't go over there and play in the park? Like, are they not worthy of going to play in the park?
Let me ask you something.
Yes, sir.
Why?
What do you mean?
Why don't they have a park to play in?
So once again, this brother is, I'm trying to be respectful in this. Listen, when I am like at home and I'm talking to my brother or talking to Manuel or my campaign manager, I get it like, you know,
we get to it
unfiltered. I'll just say respectfully because I'm showing up for the community in the right way. They don't care. They only care when it's time for elections. I'll show up, right?
Shake hands, take pictures.
I'll shake hands. I'll take pictures. I'll buy you fried chicken, right? I'll kiss the babies. I'll tell you I got a grant for you. Where was that grant at when I really needed it 2 years ago?
Yeah.
Right? People are really struggling here in this city. Moms really can't feed their kids here in this city. Like, this is real. How do I know that? I have people in my family who are calling me, who are like, yo, like, Corey, can you teach me the game? But I don't want to be an investor. I just want to be a homeowner. And I'm like, look at what towns like North Jersey, like Newark has done. We have over 4,000 dilapidated buildings right here in the city of Trenton.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Why can't we give those homes away? And you know what? Hold on. Let me slow down. Let me slow down. Because what I will say is, disclaimer, a lot of the things we've done, my media director's here, my brother's here, we pushed out things, including my announcement.
Ideas
and
that
folks
they
have went and like,
right?
They've taken it and dared me to actually respond to it. And because I have decorum and respect, I haven't yet. But I'll hold off as to the true solution to that because folks going to bottle that up and sell it. But what I'll say is stop playing games with our community. People really here are dying. They don't get second chances, right? How do we know this? It was a shooting the other day. Triple shooting the other day, right? And I'm not, and let me see, because they be trying to line me up. So let's be clear. My name is Corey Isiah McNair. I'm a candidate for the mayor of Trenton. I will be your next mayor. I am not representing the city of Trenton right now. I am not representing the Trenton Police Department. I am a community member speaking on the needs of the people. And I'm speaking as a resident, not as a police officer or detective. All right, here we go. We back. Yeah. So there was a shooting, right? I just want to let y'all know because they be trying to line me up. Trust me, when you have the chief executive officer of the city trying to line you up, you know, that's a problem. But I believe that no weapon formed against me shall prosper. So if God has this in store for my life, there's nothing, no demon in hell can do to stop me from doing it because I'm going to show up for my people. And my people means all of the folks here in this city who need a voice, who need an advocate to speak up for them. I don't care if you're white, black, gay, straight, Hispanic, we're showing up for you.
So you do have a plan for the
absolutely what
the abandoned homes in the city?
Oh my God! First of all,
I'm about to say the word you said, dilapidated. Dilapidated.
Sometimes the folks. Wait, hold on, no, because I made the mistake too. Dilapidated is what I said, right? I said that before too. It's actually dilapidated. So dated, right? So I was like, I had a lisp. I messed up on that. Like, nah, you got that wrong, right?
You got it right in my head.
But at times, a lot of our language, right, that we speak, a lot of the words that we actually, we say is not that we don't know how to spell them. It's just that we listen to our family and friends, and usually a lot of our words typically are like what they say, right? So we want to say specific, but it's Pacific, right? I'm being Pacific, right? Yeah. Like it's specific with an S, but anyway.
And trifling means unimportant, just for everybody who don't know. It doesn't mean
ignorant means not knowing. Right?
No, it doesn't mean dirty. It means it's insignificant.
So now we in the hood, we know trifling means that mean trifling. Like that mean they dirty. But once again, there's a real definition to it. All right, bring me back. Where was that? Y'all remember?
All right, real quick though.
You forgot about what we was talking about?
I got questions.
The abandoned houses.
Oh,
The
yeah,
abandoned
you had a
houses.
plan. Oh, you said, yeah.
Come on, Dallas.
You already
So
said that you
so I
wasn't
had
going to
that.
tell us what it was. I was just saying, like,
No,
oh, yeah,
it's-
so you
you
really
said
do
that.
got a
Simmer down a
plan.
little bit because I get excited.
Nah, but you get what I'm saying? I was just saying, like, oh, you really do got a plan for the homes. All
Absolutely.
right.
It's not difficult. All I'm saying is, and I'll just say in short, without giving my full plan, if there is an abandoned house sitting next to someone's grandmother who's been there for 50 years, people getting high in that house, they done lit the house on fire about 3-4 times, what would you do? You would either restore it or eradicate it. It would be gone.
Yeah.
Why would it sit there?
Especially if I own it.
Well, is
Yeah,
that
'cause
a
the
part
city
of like
own a
if
lot of
somebody
homes.
owns it, they can't just do that? Can
Most
But
of
the
it, I can
city
tell
own
you
it.
if
The
a
city
property
when you
is
see the green boards on that,
Right.
the city
a
own
way
that.
of being able to tell if a property is city owned, because there's no they're gonna do this too, but I'm gonna
Because
tell
it'd be
you
brown
there's
boards,
no
too.
real way to find out right now every single city owned property right now. But what some folks will tell you is, how do I know? Because I've been around certain folks. Oh, ride around the city and see if it's a stenciled number on a board on a door, and that'll
They all
tell
have
you if
that.
the property is city owned. No, it should be a database.
Yeah, it should be.
Be easy accessible.
It should be readily accessible for us to be able to go and say, I grew up at 145 Bootnot Street. 147 has been vacant for the past 15 years.
Yeah.
Is it available? And what I could tell you is, it is available. If it's a lot as well, because you live at 145, you actually have preferential treatment over anybody else. You have first choice. A lot of folks don't know that. So you may be living next to an abandoned house that's city owned, and you can go and put a bid on that property. You know, so I will say, progress as a city council, we used to have what's called a redevelopment zone, and that area was like kind of through the boulevard down through Fountain, like Sweets Avenue, was a certain corridor of the city that was deemed a redevelopment zone. So the city council, right? So progress has been made. They've deemed now the entire city a redevelopment zone. So I can go to Walden Avenue, I can go to Stuyvesant Avenue, I can go to Hoffman, I can go to Lamberton Street, I can go anywhere in the city, right? And I can say, oh, that's that house abandoned. Like I wanna buy that. And you can go and put a bid in on that property, and you can buy it and you can restore it, right? Reinvest in your community, either live there or rent it out.
Y'all just
right?
got educated.
There
Because
we
you
go.
know what I see a lot of in Trenton?
Yeah.
A lot of black people complain that how come we don't own all these houses, instead of trying
Well,
to do
they
the
have-
research to get them.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like
They have their rights to complain though, because it's not easy process. They should simplify the process
Right.
because it's too long.
Well, I just said once again, there's no master list. How do I know
Yeah.
this? Unless Monday is going to be one. Oh, okay, right. So with that being said, there's no master list right now.
Yeah.
So you can't go to a directory and say, this home is abandoned here. Nobody has put a bid on it. Is available. I want it. I want to buy it. I want to restore it. That's not in place right now.
Yeah.
God bless. And once again, I'm not speaking
That's
about the
very
individuals who
intentional.
work within those departments. It's not you. I'm talking about leadership, right? And so if you work in a role and you show up to work and you punch the clock and you at your 9 to 5, you're an employee. We all have to be led, right? And the vision comes from the top. So there's no shade towards anybody specifically working in an area who, may be the one to type up the list. It ain't you, because you got to get direction first. So I want to be clear with that. But yeah, like I said, if you want to become a homeowner, the process should be simple. You should be able to go buy the house. We should, all right, I'm gonna slow down because I got a whole plan and I've been told y'all.
I feel you on
They gonna
that.
say, we don't need
Once you
Corey.
said that,
He gave the plan already.
Yeah, and so they gonna run with it.
What? They already did.
That's,
They can't run faster than me though.
But that's you got your stuff time stamp, but.
Right.
And you also on the World Takes, the biggest platform
World
in the
Takes.
city. I don't believe
Right,
that. It's
right.
other podcasts, but I think they just been
Right
on a
now.
hiatus right now.
Right now at 3:39 p.m.
Yeah.
on Saturday, May 16th, we on the best podcast right now.
That's
in
a
the city.
fact.
Be anywhere in
That's
the
a
world,
fact.
but you here with us.
We could be anywhere in the world. We here with y'all.
That's
right
a
now.
fact.
Yeah.
Some of the biggest people from the city came in here.
Don't cancel me, y'all. I'm sorry.
But I mean, you already been here, so. Andre, you ain't never make it here yet, though.
Yeah, this is my first song.
Andre stood us up a couple
No,
times.
I wasn't like that.
I know when you did your research, you ain't hit.
Oh,
my first song.
Nah.
He stood us up a couple times.
Sometimes you forget a little.
Yo, I'll be everywhere. I'll be everywhere.
He too busy saving lives. I get it.
Yeah, try.
Had a little kitty in the tree.
Are you a
Took about 8 hours.
Yeah, no doubt.
But anyway, so what's some specific things about you that makes you the best candidate for mayor opposed to the other options?
Okay.
Include your flaws too.
Say it again.
Your flaws.
My flaws. Or you want
Include
this?
both.
Okay. All right. So I would first say I am, once again, born and raised here in the city, and I've said that 5 times so far. We all know I was born and raised here in the city. I've sought higher education, so I have the knowledge in terms of the degrees that folks want you to have, the qualifiers, right? So I have a bachelor's degree, I have a master's degree. I've been accepted into a doctoral program. Talking about a crisis we have in the city. You mentioned it, Ms. Dallas, right? You mentioned it. You talked about housing, right? I'm an investor. I've restored multiple homes, right? I won't go into, look at all I got. No, I restored them. Honestly, I went against the advice of folks who were a part of the establishment. I was told, buy and hold. I'm like, wait a minute. I'm going to buy an abandoned house. I'm going to buy a dilapidated house and hold it. Nah, I got to restore this, right? People have told me, and I don't think it came from a malicious place, but I've been told by leaders to buy and hold because there's a renaissance coming to Trenton. So just leave it for now, and eventually we'll get back to it. I'm like, nah, yeah, that's not what's happening. So I know what it is to buy a dilapidated property to restore it. Also, people have been saying now, they be just every day is something new. They're saying that, the properties he owned, they're all the city-owned property. He had access. Not one property that I bought thus far, and today is May 16th, 2026. I have not gotten one city-owned property through auction, period. Yeah. Everything I bought, I got because I actually got up, I went to work, I punched the clock, I went and got overtime, and I saved my money, and I purchased it outright and or mortgaged it so I can be able to set myself up for a successful future. So anybody give me nothing. Let's be clear about that. So people are now spreading that narrative like, he only got the properties because they were city owned. Negative. So once again, with going back to, being an investor, I know what it's like to restore homes there in the city. People are talking about rent in the city. Rent is sky high.
Terrible. Right? Oh my God.
Rent is sky high.
In the worst neighborhoods.
So what do I sit on? I sit on the rent stabilization board here in the city. I actually sit on a board that governs, right, and that will hold landlords and tenants, but more importantly, landlords accountable, right? There's a threshold right now. If you are disabled, there's 3%, right? 2 to 3% in terms of the increase that they, based on, the annual increase for your rent, 4% for traditional people, right? So a traditional 4% increase annually. So what does that mean? That means that if I move in to a house on Southern Street and my rent is $1,200, right? But the landlord had a little come up at Parks and they want to restore the house, right? They want to buy a new door and do a new kitchen, a new bathroom. Shout out to the landlords too, but I'm going to just expose this for a moment. So they restore the home, but you already within your lease. That means that if you renew your lease, they can't switch it from $1,200 or $1,300 to $2,300. That's illegal, right? So I sit on the rent stabilization board for that reason, right? So that means if grandma who's disabled, who gets a Social Security check, right, and a pension, and she can't go out and work because she's on a walker, that means that just because you change the facade of the home, she's disabled categorically, right? She can't go out and work. You can't increase her rent from $1,500 a month to $3,000. And unfortunately, in communities where folks aren't being properly advocated for, these things happen, right? And there's no safeguards in place, and that's why I sit on that board because I want to show up for the community.
How many members sit on the board?
So it's similar to city council. Is about the same. So it should be 7 members, right? Yeah.
And how do you guys enforce like your rules or
anybody who's having issues with rent right now, I'm talk to my camera in the city of Trenton, you can literally Google. You can Google Trenton, New Jersey Rent Stabilization Board. We have 2 young ladies who work in that office. One of our principal, she's actually a planner, but she's now acting in a different role right now on the rent stabilization, overseeing the rent stabilization board. You can call them and say, I'm having an issue with my landlord. So if y'all having an issue, Google Trent Rent Stabilization Board office in City Hall, call them. You can set up a time to be able to come in during we meet, once a month. You can give them the information, whatever you think is happening that's wrong. You can come sit before us.
And then what you guys
we'll have
do?
your landlord come in. So we'll let your landlord know. Listen, we gotta rectify this. So if you have went up on their rent from $1,500 to $2,500, and there has not been a lapse, because I'll explain that as well, how they can go up, right?
Yeah.
But if there has not been a lapse and you decided I want to just go up just because I can, yeah, nah, bro. You're going to have to figure that part out, and you're going to have to adjust it to the proper rate, which is 4% traditional.
Like what do y'all use to enforce that on a landlord though? Exactly.
So this board has been on the books for like over 30 years, right? Let's be clear. However, it has not been utilized. So it's been reactivated or reintroduced to the community in the past year. I've been on the board since it was reintroduced. I was appointed. But yeah, so we have contact with landlord-tenant court, right?
Okay.
And also as an ordinance here in the city. So there's a way you can be able to, we haven't gotten there yet, we're still working towards it, but you can be able to find the landlords, right? And or remove their COs, right? So if they're not complying with the city ordinance, then city officials can hold them accountable. Yeah, so you ain't gonna just be raising rent, right? I've heard about, I don't know the exact address, but for our immigrants here in the city, there was a guy, he's a contractor, he was telling me, yo bro, like I went to this house to fix the roof, and he said there were immigrants living in the house. He said there were people from the attic down to the basement, and the landlord was making $5,000 a month because he was charging. And if anybody's out there that comes from an immigrant family that's just trying to make it, trying to get your documentation, like our immigrants are really treated like they're nobody here in this city, right?
Yeah.
We can go into that too. We talk about immigrants
when you
and
say
ICE and all
our
that.
immigrants, like you.
So,
like
as in we're all one, like our people. Let's be clear.
Yeah.
But I mean, in terms of those who are not documented, the people who are here in the community, who may have a struggle, who may have to hide, they're not being treated good. And I say our because y'all one of us.
They should still be treated like humans.
Absolutely, right?
Now,
so how is it he's making $5,000 a month when we know that that shouldn't be happening?
Would you be like, are you on the side of making Trenton a sanctuary city or nah?
I believe, right, and so let's be clear, the population here in Trenton is roughly about 90,000 people on the books.
Yeah.
Because we have been treated as a sanctuary city, off the books, we probably have about 120,000 people.
Yeah.
And my numbers for all the statistics people or people out there who got the real numbers, y'all can feel free to comment in the chat or to let us know the exact numbers, but it's roughly approximately about that amount, right? Even if maybe more.
Yeah.
But I'm for helping people. I'll just say that. So if you come here and you didn't come here the traditional right way, whatever that means, right, in terms of the federal government conversations that they're having right now in Washington, I'm for helping those individuals to get it right, right? So whether that means introducing them to, representation, attorneys is going to come in to help them get, their residency, right, green cards, citizenship, what does that look like? So once again, I'm a police officer, and I'm not saying that we should do things that's not legal.
Yeah.
I'm just saying if you came in and all you're trying to do is just feed your family, find a place to live, and be a whole person here in this community, I want to help you with that, right? So I want to show you the right way, and that's why I believe in educating first. Yeah, so yeah, I mean, in terms
Wouldn't
of,
it be too late for them to do that though?
nah, it's never too late. You still here? As the old folks would say, as long as I got another day to wake up. If I'm alive today, I can make it right. Nah, you can make it right. Now, it may be a little bit more difficult based on,
What's going
usually
on?
when you have a democratic, government in place, they're usually fighting for people who, who are considered to be less than or those who don't have, the proper, access in terms of relationship or money. They're usually fighting for
They
those
usually
people.
paint that image
Yeah.
as if they usually
Typically,
fight for
right?
it.
And then-
They're better
and-
at painting that image.
Right, and then when you look at traditionally the other side, and I'm not getting into parties saying one party is better than the other. I'm just saying traditionally in the structure we have right now, they're like, nah, they're not really going to help you stay in the country.
I looked up municipalities because I wanted to prepare a little bit, and I was just comparing our municipality to other municipalities, surrounding municipalities,
Yeah.
Princeton, Hamilton,
Lawrence, Ewing.
So I noticed like Lawrence, they don't run on party system, Democrat, Republican, whatever.
Yeah.
But Trenton does. So like, what party
I'm
are
glad
you
you
running
said
for?
that, but
Oh,
I
I
want to
thought you
shift
asked
it.
that already.
I want to shift it a
Okay.
little bit because we don't. We do have the Democratic, party here in the city, right? And we do have the committee. However, let's be clear, we're not running on a party system here.
Okay.
We are what's called nonpartisan,
Yeah.
right? And so people who are looking at, there's a few elections, right, happening real soon. You have in Trenton, I want to be clear, there's 2 elections. So you have the congressional race right now. We have a few folks from our area who are running for the congressional seat. Shout out to Bonnie Watson Coleman. She's retiring after many years in public service. Her seat is now open.
Oh wow.
And everybody and their cousin, brother, and mother is trying to run for it. Let's just say that. So they are partisan, right? So there are Democrats, and there's Republicans, and they have what's called a primary. So in June 2nd is the primary, and essentially they're going to figure out who the pick is in June to run for the actual election. For us in Trenton specifically, for council and for mayor, we're nonpartisan, so we don't have a primary. We don't have to figure out who's going to get it and be able to move forward.
Yeah.
We all run our race up until November. So the election for mayor and council, specifically mayor, is November 3rd, 2026. That's the first Tuesday in November. So we're nonpartisan. It doesn't matter if you're a Republican, it doesn't matter if you're a Democrat, it doesn't matter if you're independent. You can run and tell people, this is who I am, this is my platform, this is what I'm standing on, vote for me. And you can go in and get your petition signed. Let's be clear also. People are like, oh, there's so many blacks that's running, right? So you have a lot of naysayers. And some of them actually have the knowledge, but they know a lot of us are not exposed, right, politically, because we don't have our basic needs being met. So they'll put things out there. Like one thing is, all the blacks are running, right? So yes, there are at this point, and should it be 4 blacks at this point running? No, it should not be. I think, should it be 6 or 7 people running as a whole? No, it should not be. But is the reality, right? So what we know is, in the past 40, 50 years, we've had something called the runoff. So it is similar to the primary, but it's not the primary. So November 3rd, 2026, we're going to have the election, right? So me and the other individuals who are running, our names will be on the ballot. You'll go to the voting polls, or you either mail your stuff in a little earlier, and they'll say after 8 p.m. the polls are closed. Corey Isiah McNair is now the next mayor. That's right. Or if I don't have 50 plus 1% of the vote, they'll say, all right, Corey got 47% of the vote, and let's say Reed Gussiora got the other percent of the vote. So the very next month, right now it's scheduled for December 8th, 2026. Remember that, November 3rd, December 8th. The people will then go back out again. Now, some folks may be like, oh, come on now. I don't feel like going to vote. I didn't take off from work. I didn't, I really don't feel like going through this. But you got to do it, folks.
Yeah,
you got to do it. So the very next month, now Reed and I, if I don't get 50 plus 1% of the vote, we'll go back for another election, just he and I, and I'll be the mayor. Yeah. So that's the way it works. So you have the runoff if you don't get 50 plus 1% of the vote. Yeah.
Still, historically, people announce their party in Trenton. Like, we actually have a long history of Democratic mayors. I mean, like, kind of like, for me, it's almost ridiculous because I just feel like it needs to change.
Honestly, and I'm just going to, because once again, I have access, and I'll let you move on because, I talk all day. I know we got another appointment, but people sometimes in your face will say something because they know it's what you want to hear. So you don't always have Democratic mayors, right? Let's look at, and I might get in trouble for this, y'all, but it's something called elect report, right? All these folks are talking about, no, I don't want ICE here. Yeah. No, like the people need better health care. The people need access to housing. Go look at the elect report. The same people that endorse MAGA, the same people that endorse Trump, the same people who are donating to those campaigns, donating to them too. They just know we don't have access. You don't have a Corey Isiah McNair to tell you, go look at the elect report. These same Republicans, and I'm not saying that Republicans are bad and or good. I'm a Democrat, right? But these same people who you're like, oh, they're destroying our country, and you're out there, with the people. Oh no, y'all must go. Stop playing with our people. Go look at their elect reports and see who's donating to their campaigns.
Yeah. You mentioned something, and I think it's interesting because you are an officer of the law, right? Mm-hmm. Your job is to uphold the Constitution, correct? Yeah. Protect our rights to the Constitution, correct? All right, so now we have like ICE agency, which is a federal agency of the law who has a job that they sworn into. So it's honestly like, you guys are
law enforcement.
You guys,
We're
law
here to
enforcement for
enforce
America.
law, right?
You guys are protecting America. You guys here to do a duty. And ICE existed long before the current
administration.
So now it's like an uproar about how they're doing their job. Now you as an officer of the law, like how do you feel about like ICE's role and what's your sentiments towards that?
So I would say, and thank you for that question. That's a good question because we were talking about this throughout the community. I want to be clear. So there are certain people who know, the right way, who have the answers, but they'll manipulate the public. And they'll say, Trenton police letting ICE come in here and take over. Let's be clear. We the little dog, right? Yeah. This bottle is the federal government. This bottle, maybe a little lower, is the municipal police department. Yeah. We don't have federal control. So the federal government, if the president say, we going into Trenton today and we about to round up some folks, or we're going about to do whatever they're doing in terms of that federal agency, we have no oversight. We can't even step in, right? Mm-hmm. There's people who are trying to get ordinances passed saying that we will not, or that, and I don't want to get too intricately into this, but we will not allow ICE agents to wear masks in the city. Well, who's going to tell them they can? Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So stop playing with our people. You know what I'm saying? Like, you think that I can go, that's like you working in the school as a school teacher, and you just go storm into the principal office and say, I want to leave at 2:30 today. Make the dismissal at 2. If you don't get out of here and close my door for you don't have no job, so we got to be clear, understanding structure, right? So we don't have oversight over the federal government. If the administration is saying this is what they're doing, that's their mission, they're doing that. But we're not, obviously, we have something called the Attorney General in the state of New Jersey. That's the top law enforcement officer. They tell us what to do. So now the Attorney General, they give us, instructions. We listen to the Attorney General, right? Yeah. The top law enforcement officer in the state. The Attorney General guidelines, right? They have, a directive that states we cannot, essentially assist ICE with their operations. So we ain't showing up like, all right, buddies, I got my vest on, let's go. I'm ready to help you out. No, we're not doing that, right? But if ICE calls and they say we're having an issue, the police have to respond. But we're not going in to help ICE. I know I'm not going in to help ICE. I'm not speaking for every municipality in the state of New Jersey, or for every officer in the state or in Trenton specifically. I'm just saying that the directive says we will not assist with that. If there's a separate crime being taken place and it's a crime or you're a violation of our ordinance, we will, get involved. But if they're coming to execute a search warrant for somebody who ain't went and registered whatever office, and they want to take them back because of immigration status, nah, bro. Yeah. Get somebody else to do it. That ain't us.
So I this is your platform, but I would like to speak on that because I feel like sometimes it is like, people who abuse it, just like the regular guys in the blue,
Absolutely.
Right? And then it's people who actually got their job to do. So we do have things like the cartel. Like you see what happened in Mexico when they go crazy. So it's like if they wild enough to go crazy out there in Mexico or in El Salvador or Ecuador, right? Why can't they be wild enough to cross the border like every other hard-working Mexican that you think? So I just say that to say, sometimes ICE have a job, and you never know if they going to go get somebody who's part of the cartel. You don't know that. So if you want to be, some soccer mom trying to block them, and you don't know their operation, you just...
Well, first and foremost, for the civilians out there in the world, don't get involved in people's law enforcement whatever is going on, operations, don't do that. I even tell people, I work in community affairs in the police department, and I tell folks, the one lady the other day, I was at a community meeting, she said, well, if I see somebody outside my house, and I believe it's a drug sale. Can I go outside? I'm like, sis, right? So she's not the traditional woman I would call sis, but sis. Pick up that phone if you're in Trenton and you dial 609-989-4000. Don't try to go out there and peek out and let them see who you are and try to get the tag number. All you got to say is it's a black four-door sedan, a black sedan in front of my house. They've been waiting. They've been sitting here for a moment. I believe that it's something that's illegal going on. Let the cops ride by. If somebody has a flat tire or their check engine light has come on and that's the case, and the cops will come up and they'll be like, hey, what's going on? No, I'm waiting on the tow truck. I'm good. Keep it moving. But they got a brick of heroin on their lap. Now we're going to do an investigation. They're going to probably be going to the workhouse, right? So don't get involved. So whether it's on the federal level and ICE is there and folks, we've seen obviously recently in the news what can happen when you get involved. Whether you're advocating or not, somebody lost their life recently on television, right? We saw that on television. Young lady lost her life. So don't get involved, and if you do get involved, just know that sometimes it may not work out the best for you. So I always say, even when I'm in like the innermost part of the city and folks are out there and I may be out there as a police officer and we may be dealing with an incident, right? You can record.
Yeah.
I'm an educator. I educate people in real time as a cop. I don't care if my colleagues have an issue with it, and most of my colleagues will educate as well, right? Because I'll stick with, all I'm saying is, if, let's say you're at Stuyvesant and Hoffman and somebody got pulled over and you feel as though their rights are being violated, all you got to do is pick up your phone, start recording, stay on the sidewalk while they're in the street and record. If an officer comes to you and say, put that phone down, which they most likely shouldn't or wouldn't because they know that, they can, or the community can legally record, just stay out the way, record. But when people, I know my rights, and they go out there, they all at the cart, now you're interfering with the law enforcement, and that's how you get in trouble, right? That's how you get in trouble. So it's not always, you facing consequences based on your actions. It's about knowing the right way to do it. And sometimes we mess up there.
You mean like people just like, in their opinion, they'll be quick to defend like Mexicans and they don't know what's going on. That's what you mean? Yeah. Like he don't mean like physically interrupting an altercation. He mean like we shouldn't be so quick to take their side over ICE side, and you don't know what ICE is arresting them for to begin with. Basically, right?
Okay. I got you. Throughout the course of my life, it's always been they had the BLM not too long ago. It'd be a disconnect between like the people who are here to protect us and sworn to protect us and the citizens.
So you're saying sometimes these individuals may be criminals. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, the federal government ain't completely just wasting money. Okay. They actually do got a job to do, just like the regular guys in blue. Like they're not always just against the community. They out here fighting crime, solving murders, or trying the best to do their job. Gotcha. Everybody's not bad, and sometimes you're going to be the mayor, so if you're gonna be the mayor, right?
You're not the guy.
Yeah, so
I will be the mayor. Yeah.
Like you're gonna have to be that connection between the people and because you are one of us and you are a police officer. So
So with me, I'm fair, and you won't find me. And I say this on camera. I can be having a private conversation. I'm not co-signing any nonsense, right? So right is right, wrong is wrong, right? And sometimes there is a gray area that I can be able to explain. We call that being able to ice skate, right? There's that ice skate gray area. However, if whatever agency is looking for someone who has committed a crime, they've hurt a child, right? They've robbed a bank, they shot somebody dead on the side of the road because of them, then absolutely, we need to apprehend and we need to, deal with them accordingly, based on the way the United States have deemed, we deal with individuals who break, laws or commit crimes. So I'm not saying that every federal agency is the worst. Let's be clear. I'm a sworn police officer. I'm just saying, there's a structure, and people right now in the U.S. feel as though like, right now all over the news, ICE is bad to them, right? So I'm not saying that ICE, everything they're doing is wrong. I'm just saying that people deserve the right. They deserve the right to be able to walk down the street and not be fearful about they're going to, be taken away and their kids won't see them. That's a lot of the things we're dealing with. So once again, I'm not a federal law enforcement agent, or officer. So I deal with Trenton politics and also Trenton law enforcement. However, if people are being targeted, wrongfully, I'm not okay with that. If someone actually has committed a crime and they need to be held accountable, I'm cool with that. And I think everybody's okay with that. Like, right, somebody outside shooting and grandma on the front porch, God forbid, and she gets shot. You want that person to actually be apprehended and go to jail. Like, never see the light again. Like, nah, you killed my grandma. Like, what? Like, nah, that's not okay. However, if this person is being accused of something, and we also got to remember that certain people have been allegedly, deported, arrested, who actually are citizens, right? And so that's something as well. Like, how are we actually identifying these individuals, and how are we actually dealing with that deportation process where a person could be able to slip through the cracks and have been born here in America, but their family is not from here. So it's very layered. All I'm gonna say is if you're doing things the right way, I think that you should be, given the opportunity to live your whole life here in the city and in the country.
And that was my opinion when me and him argued. We talked about this, remember, on the last Wowski?
Yeah. I think I would say, and I'm not going to say your party, and we'll be respectful, but I think, it appears that you don't have one, you're not on either side.
Like, I'm not on either side.
You're like,
I just feel like as our people, we shouldn't be on no side. Like, I don't see, like, we can't be complaining about the progress. And we still trying to choose a side, and we can't create our own side? What?
But you know how it is. Everybody gonna always. It's reality. It's the world.
And all people won't value our own side. Right now, if you come up with your whole new party and say, you know what, I've been looking at Democrats, I've been looking at the Republicans, and they both been lying to us. Yeah. You can spit all facts and tell them the truth. Have the history and the evidence. You know what I mean? And they're still gonna look at your party like, nah, that's not even real.
And the reality is, a lot of people, and I guess we'll close out because my media director over here is like, all right, he said 2 minutes, like 20 minutes ago. But the reality is, and that's when you look at leadership, a lot of people are looking to people to tell them what to do. A part of that could be because they don't know, they don't have access. And that's why I like to educate as I move around and I'm being interviewed in real time. Because somebody's going to watch this video back and they're going to find out we have a strong mayor and a weak council. They're going to find out that the mayor could propose building Disneyland here in the city, but the council don't say yay, then it ain't coming, right? And so I like to educate in real time, and so most people either don't care, they're like, look, I got other stuff going on, I ain't concerned about what's happening at City Hall, I got to make sure my kids eat tonight, and not saying they don't care in a derogatory way, they got other things going on, or they're just like, all right, nah, bro, you in politics, tell me where I got to vote. I've had people actually tell me in my family or ask me, who should I vote for? And I'll tell them based on my research who I believe they should vote for, and guess what? They vote for them. So everybody ain't gonna be like, sitting on World Takes podcast and discussing politics. Some folks could be like, look,
let's talk about them. Let's take it out this way, right? Because a lot of things you talk about, like the answer to a lot of our problems is voting. Even like say the ICE, the federal government, a lot of these offices are voted for, or at least you vote for somebody and then they put people in place, right? So it's important that you vote for people that's going to, acquiesce to your wants and your needs, right? So, like, I want you to, end the show off and let people know how important, educate people how important it is to vote to get get things changed, whether it's for you, your children, future generations. How important it is to vote and have on your heart, not off for someone else's stuff.
All right, here we go. All right, guys, this is Corey Isiah McNair, your next mayor in the city of Trenton. And I want to encourage you, right? A lot of folks have lost hope in our city. They ride around, they're riding on Stuyvesant Avenue, on Hermitage, they're on Lamberton, right? They're on Walnut, and they see homes falling apart. And they're saying people who are elected into office, they just lie. They don't care about us. But I want to encourage you. I want to encourage you to know that, yes, people are going to manipulate. They are going to lie. But if you find someone who you truly believe in and they have a proven track record that you believe can move this city forward, I would say you got to get out there and you got to support that person. Because as long as you feel my voice doesn't matter, my voice is not heard, my vote won't count, the same people who are part of the political establishment, that structure, are going to keep getting into office over and over again. Our city will continue falling and falling and falling until the state has completely taken over the city, right? Let's be clear, that potentially could happen. But folks, you gotta get out there. Even though it feels tough, you feel like there's no hope, you gotta get registered to vote. You have to vote, and you have to vote for someone who you believe will lead this city in a direction of progress, right? So if you want to do more research on me, you can go to my social media, Facebook and Instagram, Corey Isiah McNair. We have a website, CoreyMcNairForMayor.com. We have YouTube videos. Find out what I stand for. Find out what I've been doing. This is not just a plug because I'm running for mayor. I've been doing the work. I have a nonprofit where we have, engaged law enforcement and community members and have helped vulnerable populations like seniors and children with disabilities. Like, I've been doing the work. So once again, do your research, and my prayer is that you will vote for Corey Isiah McNair on November 3rd, 2026.